Good evening, everybody. We'll start with today's session. We're discussing regarding the new chapter from Kant's philosophy, that is the examination of the patient, the consecutive third chapter, which is dedicated to the clinical examination and the case taking backend. In this aphorism, he has explained certain aspects of case taking, the minute details, the different varieties of patients which approaches to you while case taking. The one variety where the patients who are reluctant to explain their their symptoms, generally they tells you the vague symptoms and they never expresses their original symptoms, or they consider that it is common to them and they never explains, and which are important actually from the homeopathic point of view, and to which anyone labeled by name of accessory symptoms. So that accessory symptom was the one of the important thing which generally patient forgets to tell the homeopaths, and which are necessary for the homeopaths to find it out exactly remedy. Vague symptoms never gives you the remedy. Then there is a variety of patients who are indolent or who never wants to tell you details, and such patients never gives you detailed history, because of which it is not possible to get the exact symptoms. That is one variety. Or exactly opposite, that certain who are more enthusiastic, who tries to exaggerate their symptoms, and again you are in confusion which are real symptoms and which are not real symptoms. And for both the things, he has given the solutions which we have discussed in yesterday's lecture, that if patient is expressing exaggerated symptoms, to find it out reality, you give the placebo to the patient, ask him to come after 15 days, and once after he comes for follow-ups, then he forgets what he has exaggerated. He repeats the symptoms which are which appears to be their real nature, and then you get the reality of the patient. So these are things which he tried to explain over there, the so minute details. We have finished up to the half of the chapter. Let us finish this chapter. So we'll start with the next paragraph, which from now in the present day, there has crept upon the face of the earth such a state of false modesty and such a lack of innocence upon the whole human race, that this false modesty and shame will prevent patients from telling the truth. Patients will deny having had gonorrhea and having been exposed to circumstances that were similar. If the whole human race has had lived in innocence up to the present day, our women would come to the physician with frankness and talk in perfect freedom concerning the menstrual flow, concerning even the sexual function, concerning things of the will and the intelligence. But as a matter of fact, it is not so. It is with difficulty that the physician can draw out the symptoms through mistaken modesty. So this is the thing which is happening. Due to the modesty, there are many symptoms which patients tries to hide. They consider that other people will think them bad, and because of which they tries to hide all those symptoms. If the patient has exposed to gonorrhea, he tries to hide that symptom. If patient had syphilis in the past, he tries to hide that symptom. And in fact, these histories are necessary for the homeopath to find it out exactly the Maya. But such a things many times get hidden in the patient, and because of which you never get the reality. And this happens many times because of modesty. The woman never talks about their menstrual problems. Many patients suffering from the sexual dysfunction, but they never tells you about that because of the false modesty. That's what he is explaining over there. But as a matter of fact, it is not so. It is with the difficulty that physician can draw out these symptoms through mistaken modesty. When patients consult physician, the question of modesty should be laid aside. You will find that the most innocent in mind are those that are the most easy to lay out, lay it is aside, when it is not a question of modesty, but telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So there are certain variety of patients. If they keep this modesty outside, they tries to tell you the details. They tries to tell you the truth, and that truth gives you a very clear remedy in the patient, which is not possible if it has been hidden. If it be a wife, everything that is in relation to herself and husband that is abnormal should be told, and then physician would have little to ask beyond listening to the truth. So he's explaining that all the details, minute details, their physical relations, their emotional attachments, all those things matters a lot, because that gives you exact idea of how this person is. This is too important. I look back over a number of people, especially among women, who seem to be so much embarrassed upon first coming into my presence and having to talk about their symptoms that they forget everything. And it was only by considerable waiting that they become free and frank and open with me. Sometimes it is a difficult matter for the physician to put a case, to put a patient at ease. It is a thing that must be studied and considered in order to be able to say something to put a bashful patient at ease. This is quite an accomplishment with a doctor. Many times people never talks to you in freedom. Most important thing he explains over there, that if you are dealing with the patient, you must make the patient free. So that patient will going to tell you each and every detail, each and every minute detail. Many times such things which are hidden are kept secret, kept it as a secret, comes out, and those are essential things for your prescription. Homeopathic case taking specifically is an art. How do you get very easily attached with the patient? That is more important. And once you get attached with the patient, then it is very easy to get the reality of the patient. And this is what he tries to explain over there, that you have to understand what patient wants to tell you and how you can take out all those symptoms from the patient. The next thing which he explains over there, the physician must be possessed of an uncommon share of circumspection and the tact, knowledge of knowledge of human heart, prudence, and patience, to be enabled to form to himself a true and complete image of the disease in all its details. He must live the life of a neighbor, be known as a man of honor, as a man who may be believed and respected as a candid man. Hahnemann says carelessness, laziness, and levity will prevent the physician from going into such state of homeopathy as will enable him to grasp the materia medica or to be conversant with the science. See how much details he is explaining. He is explaining how the physician should be, what he should do, what he should develop. He should develop that capacity that he can understand the patient's heart. He can understand exactly the patient's complaints. With his patients, he can listen the patient carefully, understand the patient's feelings and carefully, understand the patient's complaints carefully, and then he must read them from the materia medica. The physician should not be careless. Patient should not be lazy. Physician should not be indolent. All those things which hampers in case taking. You should be active enough and enthusiastic enough to get whole knowledge about the patient. And these are the essential things in the case taking. You should get so much attached with the patient that patient should feel free to explain you all those things. Homeopathy will enable him to grasp the materia medica, be conversant with his science. If he has such a reputation, he will not command the respect of people of the neighborhood, and this will prevent him from getting the image of sickness upon further. Anyone had a wonderful knowledge of the human heart, and this is the important thing. A knowledge of human heart, a knowledge of things that are in man. And this is very important. You must have a knowledge about the human heart. Means human emotions. Heart means it is symbolic, it is emotions. You should be able to grasp the patient's emotions very easily. If you observe patient's face, you can make a comment and immediately gets attached with the patient. You must ask, what is wrong with you? The tone should match, the tone should be in such a proper way that it should immediately catch what the patient wants to tell. Patient immediately gets attached with you if you put questions properly and if you grasp and catch the patient's heart. And this is very important thing which one has to develop during case taking. So in the examination of patient, this is the one of the important thing which one has to develop. And to conclude this chapter, 25th chapter, last paragraph, what he said. It would seem that there are good many men in the community without the slightest knowledge of human art. What is it? There are many men in the community, means homeopathy community, without slightest knowledge of human art. They should have that so that you can catch, you can get what you expect. They have never given any inspection to their own interiors, their heart or impulses, but have gone on wild. To know the human heart, to know the human heart well is largely to examine it into oneself and ascertain what one's own impulses are, what one is compelled to do under varying circumstances, what impulses one has to control in oneself in order to become a man. If a man has carried out his heart's desires without any self-control, he is a man unworthy of respect. If he has, on the other hand, controlled those impulses, he has become a man worthy of respect. In time, the physician who does this will become so well acquainted with the human heart that he has sympathy and knows what constitutes the language of the act. See how nicely he has explained. He explained that the physician should be a person who should develop a knowledge of human heart, human emotions. He should grasp that. That is very important. He should learn how you can read the patient's emotions, catch the patient's heart, so that patient will be able to explain all things in front of you. He should not keep anything inside, and he should be free enough to share whatever he wants to tell. He should feel that you are the right person with whom he can share all those things. And once this happens, then the real examination of the patient happens. Then you get the reality, then you get the clear picture about the patient. And once you get that, the finding it out a remedy for the patient becomes a simple task. So see, Hahnemann tried to explain all those things in detail, and Kent has tried to explain Hahnemannian concept in his own words. That is what is called as Kant's philosophy to look towards the aphorism. And in a beautiful word, Kent has tried to explain what Hahnemann wants to say through those aphorisms. The concluding chapter on this examination of the patient is still remaining. That is the chapter number 26. Tomorrow, we'll start with chapter number 26. And once chapter number 26 is finished, we'll learn whole case taking aspect has been covered. And this case taking is the most important part in the homeopathy. Once you get a real case, clear cut case, it becomes simple task to reach to the remedy. So I used to spend so much of time to get the case. Generally, today I have taken 2, 3 cases personally, and all cases I have utilized my whole intelligence. So important because then it becomes rather simple work for me just to repertorize and find it out a proper solution. Because once you get a clear cut idea about the patient's nature, then it becomes rather simple to prescribe for it. And that's why my suggestion to all of you, go through the Kant's philosophy again and again so that you can acquire that knowledge and you can find it out a right solution. So today, on this concluding paragraph, we'll finish today's session. Tomorrow we'll start with chapter number 26 from Kant's philosophy. And today evening at 8 o'clock, we'll meet with another remedy, another polycrest, the Thuja occidentalis. So that's all for today. Thank you being there. We'll meet again in tomorrow's session. Thank you.